What's going on there, guys? Good evening. The Earthmaster here on the live stream with an update video on this Tuesday evening, March 29, 2022, about 6:57 p.m. California time. Latest quake, a 4.8 earthquake into the area, right around the New Zealand area. Definitely well inland, west side of New Zealand, shaking things up a little bit. Let's go ahead and check out the latest activity here on the USGS map here. That 4.8 coming in from the EMSC model. USGS not reporting that earthquake yet, but I'm sure they'll get to it, right? Some movement kicking off here around the globe, but I want to kind of jump into the main story tonight, and that includes the G3 class storm headed our way on the 31st of March into spilling over possibly into the April 1st time period. Looking at 80% chance of storming at higher latitudes, 45% chance of middle latitudes here from this pretty strong G3 storm. This is a series of CMEs that have kind of been combined together, and it is headed directly towards Earth. A lot of folks kind of wondering what the specifics are when it comes to the G3 storm. As far as the category goes, there's a it goes up to about G5 or so. This is an extreme category. Those are about 4 per solar cycle. Okay, these are only about 4 per solar cycle when it comes to the G5 class storms. The G4, about 100 per cycle. G3, somewhat common, right? 200 per cycle. So it's been a little while since we've had a G3 class storm, but that is in the mix when it comes to the storming here coming up. The potential power systems here, voltage corrections may be required. False alarms triggered on some protection devices. Spacecraft operations, surface charging may occur on satellite components. Drag may increase on low Earth orbit satellites. And corrections may be needed for orientation problems. So GPS systems will possibly be affected from this strong G3 class storm coming in. Other systems, intermittent satellite navigation and low-frequency radio navigation problems may occur. HF, high-frequency radio, may be intermittent, and Aurora has been seen as low as Illinois and Oregon, typically on the 50-degree latitude area. So, and of course, as you look towards the higher chart here, we're not expecting a G4 or a G5 class storm. That becomes a little bit more problematic when it comes to the potential in issues. So the G storm could be possible. The G storm is visible for mid latitudes from pretty much Illinois to Oregon. A G4 storm is a little bit on the more powerful side. Pretty much capable of producing auroras visible for southern states, such as Northern California to Alabama area. Now the G5, which is the most severe, is a lot more powerful. We're talking about major power grid and satellite failures and blackouts. G5 will produce auroras visible towards Florida and southern Texas. Looks like most recent sightings dating back in 2003 and 1989. So it's been a little while since we've had a major G5 storm. KP index up around 9, but we're not really expecting that. We're expecting just a I shouldn't say just a G3, but it's a strong storm. KP index of up around 7. That is expected. Once again on the 31st. When that will come in, and we'll see what it does, right? There's a lot of what ifs and whatnot. Last time they kind of predicted a major storm like this, it kind of fluked out a little bit. But also recently, we did see some major earthquake uptick in terms of the solar storm that kind of hit us here a couple of weeks ago. So, what do we got here? A reminder that moderate G2 to strong G3 geomagnetic storming will be in the forecast beginning on Wednesday. A pair of coronal mass ejections observed on Monday are predicted to combine together into one larger shock front and impact Earth's magnetic field, geomagnetic field. Forecast calls for a passage by late in the day Wednesday, right? Late Wednesday and into early Thursday. Visible aurora could be visible across many locations from middle to high latitudes should this threshold be reached. So, we will see how this thing progresses. I will be switching over the live stream charts here from the solar flux up to the aurora forecast here a little bit later tonight, because that's kind of a little bit more important issue. Right now, flaring, at least on this chart here, we'll go ahead and check out the solar flux, X-ray flux. Still seeing quite a few C's pop and crackle up here. It's pretty much seen a consistent level of C's and some M's as well. It looks like we had a little bit of an M flare earlier today, this afternoon. But throughout the day, mostly C flares crackling on the sun from the sunspot, which is this one right here, 2975. It's kind of turning away from the Earth, but it still has the potential to be Earth-directed and Earth... it could definitely cause some Earth problems there if we happen to have an X flare in the coming hours and days. Pretty active on the sun right now. 2976, a huge sunspot, but pretty stable. 2975 is the one to watch currently for the ongoing activity. Looks like protons have dropped down from 99% to a 10% chance. X flare remains elevated at 10% chance, while C flare guaranteed, right? We are crackling with C flares currently in the C flare range. M flare at about 50% chance there, and that will no doubt continue as this sunspot is Earth facing. What else we got here? Definitely something to watch pretty closely for sure. Let's see if these guys are reporting anything. I don't think these guys are reporting anything new as far as the space weather site goes. Earthquake activity, on the other hand, let's go ahead and check out the latest movement here across the globe. We're still waiting on that earthquake activity here from the USGS. Some movement across the Fiji Islands and the Tonga region. Mostly 4s. Got a whole swath of 4s. Some deep earthquake activity as well, including a 4.6 at 605 kilometers. Movement around Papua New Guinea still remains relatively quiet up in the western part of the Philippine plate, around Taiwan, and areas around the Manila region, Philippines area. Still showing quite a few 4s kick up here. Japan, zooming in here, about 33 kilometers. Seeing a pair of 4s kick off there into the Japan Trench. The rest of the Kuro Kamachaka Trench looks pretty quiet. The Aleutian Trench as well. One lone earthquake out here. It looks like a 3.9 along the region. Let's go ahead and check out the all magnitudes. Not a whole lot of significant difference here on the chart. Just some scattered earthquake activity throughout the Alaska Range and areas around the Cook Inlet, it looks like. West Coast. We'll go ahead and check out, well, let's go ahead and zoom into Yellowstone, right? Kind of a big topic right now. Looks like they've added a few more earthquakes onto the map. 109 earthquakes around the Yellowstone region. That includes a 2.6 earthquake that struck earlier today in the mix of the swarm. Most of this activity has been below that threshold, and it has been all over the place in terms of the depth there for the earthquakes, ranging from about 2 kilometers up to about, I think I've seen 10 kilometers or so, and some a little bit deeper in the area of Yellowstone National Park. Of course, this area does see typical swarming, but it's been quite a while since we've had a significant swarm there in the Yellowstone area. Go ahead and check out the latest data here. Bring up the Yellowstone chart here of the overview of the activity here. Kind of epicenter looks like around the Maple Creek region. Most of this activity overnight and this morning. Since then, yeah, we're still seeing a little bit of activity here over the last few hours, but nothing like we had seen last night. Got to remember all these earthquakes here, all these little thin lines, all these little black small specks there, these sharp spikes on the line are indicative of a earthquake, and there's definitely a bunch of them, let me tell you. But I do have to again commend the USGS for the ongoing reporting of the earthquake activity. I mean, last time we had an earthquake swarm here at Yellowstone, it took them a couple days to report on it, but they were on top of it first thing this morning. So bravo, definitely bravo for the reporting there, USGS. So what else we got here besides the Yellowstone activity kicking up? Sometimes, like I say, these swarms, they come and go. They're common. They're definitely very common. They're nothing to worry about in terms of supervolcano eruptions. Of course, any volcanic activity or any earthquake activity around a supervolcano kind of worrisome, right? But a swarm of this magnitude, of these magnitudes here, are nothing really anything to worry about. These were 4s and 5s kicking off, say hundreds of them, I'd be on the worried side. But microquake swarms, not that big of a deal. Just a typical day, I believe, around a supervolcano. No subsequent separate swarming that I can see of in the Yellowstone area. So mostly confined over here to the northwest corner of Yellowstone National Park. Let's see what else we got here for global worldwide earthquake activity. Puerto Rico. Some movement kicking up here north side of the island. About a 3.1 at 70 kilometers or so. Things kind of I mean, literally, things just kind of just at a standstill, if you will. It's kind of like the calm before the storm. I'm kind of curious to see what this is going to look like come the time when we get slammed with the G3 class storm coming up here in a couple nights. I think things are going to really ramp up. Definitely be prepared. This has been pretty quiet for quite a while. Let's see what we got here in Greece area. These were some older earthquakes as well. Most of this is all older earthquake activity. So we haven't really had too much in the way of terms of recent movement here this afternoon or evening. Looking at... So we got some earthquake activity here. It looks like in the Mauna Loa region. A couple 2s and 3s. When we drop the magnitude here, we can definitely see a little swarm of activity at Mauna Loa. Some 1s and some 2s added into the mix. Most of it shallow earthquake activity, although check out this 2.0, really deep underneath Mauna Loa. So we may be seeing some signals of things starting to fire up here at this volcano on the Big Island. Definitely going to have to watch this pretty closely. Southeast flank activity kicking up as well. Let's take a closer look here at the west coast region, and still seeing a little bit of swarming up here outside of Redding into the Trinity Mountains. 1.9, the largest quake here. I'm starting to wonder though. Let me see if we got any tremor activity here tonight. 0 once again. This is a little on the odd side, folks. There's that significant swarm there back on the 24th. We had a pretty good amount of tremor activity, 353 epicenters of tremor on the 24th, but since then it has dropped off dramatically. You see that? It's been pretty much about good 5-6 days now of no activity. But I'm kind of wondering here, with this deeper movement inland, this is about 19 kilometers or so in the area of Northern California. Definitely somewhat subductions on earthquakes, I believe. I'm just wondering if the lack of activity comes through the lack of reporting. I'm wondering if there's tremor activity taking place and we're not just being advised of it. Of course, I have no access to the live tremor map for the most part when it comes to tremor activity. Clear Lake, Cobb Mountain region definitely rumbling up today. 51 earthquakes along the Calpine-owned property out here in Northern California. Hydrothermal operations there. got to have power, right? We got to produce power, and that's what they're doing. They're fueling homes with power out there, but also at the same time creating some earthquakes. Southern California, look at this. Not a whole lot going on. One earthquake here along the Parkfield area of the creeping section of the San Andreas Fault. A little bit of movement up here in the Nevada desert, 1.4 and a 2.9 near Beatty. Well, east of there, northeast of there, it looks like. So kind of the calm before the storm, folks. Pay very close attention to the activity ongoing here in the next coming days. I think we're definitely going to see things ramp up here with this solar weather activity headed at us. Definitely a firm believer in terms of the Earth-Sun relation, in terms of plate tectonics, and not only that, but weather in general, volcano activity. I think they all have a similar interest and play a part together as one. We'll be watching this pretty closely here, folks, from these sunspots. Still that potential of this thing popping off in X-flare, so don't let your guard down. G3 storm incoming. Nothing to pack up the bags and run to the hills about, but definitely a pretty strong storm here. So we'll keep you guys updated here in the next couple nights. And like I said, I will be changing up this solar flux X-ray chart there on the upper left-hand corner to the aurora forecast here. That way we can see kind of the potential of the auroras and how far south they go with this incoming G1, G2, G3 storm that's headed onto into our region of space here on planet Earth. That's for sure. All right, guys. Let's see. We got a 4.8. I'm really kind of wondering. Hold on. Let me back out of here real quick. See why the USGS is not reporting this earthquake down here. The 4.8, right? It's above the 4.0 threshold. Nothing being reported here from those folks there at the USGS. EMSC models. Let's go ahead and check these guys out. See if we got a little bit more specifics on it. 4.8. They're at northwest of New Zealand. 2-kilometer depth. They're pretty shallow earthquake. Looks like GeoNet is the provider. Go ahead and check out these folks here real quick and see what these guys are reporting. Then again, sometimes these guys down here, these earthquakes pop up out of the blue and then they get deleted. So not for certain if this is even a legit earthquake. Kind of why I hate using the EMSC sometimes when it comes to the accuracy of the earthquake activity down there across the world for the most part. Sometimes it's just not accurate. So we'll watch it. We'll see if this earthquake disappears or not. For now, EMSC reporting that 4.8 there on the New Zealand region. And all right, folks, I'm gonna jump off here. Stay safe and of course be prepared. We will chat you guys a little bit later. If anything substantial changes in terms of the solar storm incoming or any major earthquake activity, we'll report it here on the channel. Till then, enjoy your evening, and we'll chat you guys a little bit later. Stay safe, folks.